This is CNN Breaking News.
And hello, everyone. Natalie Allen at CNN Center. We are keeping a close eye on all of the islands of Hawaii, which right now could be experiencing a series of tsunami waves generated by an earthquake that occurred on the western edge of Canada. And the folks in Hawaii had 1 hour of sirens telling them that they were in the direct line to see a tsunami this evening. It is 11 p.m. in Hawaii. A lot of folks, except for reporters, have left the shores. They're expecting perhaps waves 1 to 2 meters. We just did hear from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center that all indications from tide gauges are that there is a tsunami moving in, but not big at this point. And he said there could be a situation where throughout the hours they could see waves that get bigger. But many people just waiting in hotels or have moved to evacuation centers in Hawaii, waiting to see what this tsunami brings. They've been told, some people that were stuck in their cars just a short while ago, about 45 minutes before this tsunami was expected to arrive, the police were telling them just get out of your car and start walking to higher ground just in case to be safe. But this has been a little bit of a surprise for the folks there in Hawaii on a busy Saturday evening, and unusual that Hawaii is in the direct line for tsunami all the way from the eastern Pacific. We've been talking with people who are running hotels, officials there working the story, and we also have one of our CNN producers who just happens to be on vacation in Hawaii. Seems like there is always one there where we need them, and that is Augie Martin. Augie, you're on the Big Island, safe in your hotel. You've been up on the roof with a good sign from the beach. Are you seeing anything?
No, not a whole lot. I will say there was about probably 10 or 15 minutes ago a little bit of a discernible change in the way the surf was coming ashore on this beach. It's been fairly robust all day, and it actually calmed down for probably about 5 minutes. So it almost appeared to be sort of the opposite effect of what one might envision with a tsunami coming ashore, and I can't be sure that it was, but the behavior of the water definitely changed a little bit in that it actually calmed down for probably 5 or 6 minutes.
Well, we heard from a gentleman, Victor Sardino, with the Tsunami Warning Center say that's what you would see. You would see it come in, and then you would see it like pull back. And then because they expect a series of waves, that you might be seeing that repeated throughout the evening. But still, I would assume no one on the beach is there, and everyone is staying at a certain level at the hotel. What's the level that guests have to be at?
Yeah, they said earlier that if you were on the 4th floor, I think it was the 4th floor or above, you were fine. And indeed, there isn't anyone on this beach here. It's a nice wide beach, one of the more spectacular beaches in the state. But because the surf was fairly robust today, I'm not sure what level this tsunami would have to rise to really be very obvious to the naked eye. It is a very deep beach, but aside from the surf just calming down for a little while, I haven't seen anything terribly obvious that would point to a typical tsunami. About
how many feet is your hotel from the surf?
Oh, it's right on the beach. It's right on the beach, and my vantage point is 8 stories above the beach. And like I said earlier, it's a nice nearly full moon here, so the visibility is pretty good, pretty optimal, in fact. But we wait and see if anything changes.
What's the atmosphere as far as the guests and the vacationers there in your hotel regarding this situation there this evening?
It's fairly calm and orderly. Occasionally a couple or two will pop their heads up on the roof here and take a gander at the beach. And but everybody seems very relaxed and almost curious at what may be coming our way. There doesn't seem to be an overwhelming sense of fear or panic. it's almost more intrigue than any of those things.
Well, hopefully nothing will happen that cause anything more than intrigue or curiosity there in Hawaii. How are you told, as far as monitoring local news and the guidance that you're getting from the hotel, when will people know that they're out of harm's way? Like, will the warning be lifted, and how does that happen? Have you heard?
I think everybody's relying first and foremost on the Hawaii Civil Defense and local media. The hotel here specifically said that if things got worse, they would come on the loudspeakers, and that the volume of the tsunami sirens would increase to a higher level than they have been. But for the most part, everybody here is watching local TV stations and listening to the local radio for their information.
And earlier you told us, Augie, there were some aircraft flying in the area and some law enforcement vehicle cars flashing. Are you still seeing that?
Yes, indeed. There are lots of law enforcement out stationed on the highways, it appears, from my vantage point. And there have been probably 2 or 3 aircraft that have flown over this part of the coast here with their light beams shining down on the coast and blaring sirens as they fly by. I haven't seen one in probably the last 20 minutes or so, but there does seem to be a pretty good law enforcement presence here.
All right, we appreciate it again. CNN producer Augie Martin, who is there on the Big Island on the 8th floor, describing a scene where people are mainly just curious about what's going on, and we hope that they have no reason for any fear this evening with this tsunami. But let's go get the latest now on the warnings that we're hearing as far as the waves coming ashore, what they predicted could happen as we see this live picture from station the news, Hawaii News Now, that you can see the waves there on the beach of Waikiki Beach. So, Karen, what were the predictions and what have we heard as far as the latest?
Natalie, the prediction was that this would, we would see the first hints of a tsunami or waves being generated about 10:28 local time Hawaii. So we're now 45 minutes or so past that point in time. We look at those beautiful pictures. Maybe we can go back to that. We don't see anything that looks ominous, definitely right now, but there was a warning for this area, as opposed to the coast of British Columbia, where we had seen an advisory. Why were they an advisory and Hawaii was a warning? Well, British Columbia, and we can come back to me, they are the closest to the epicenter of this earthquake, and as a result, those waves don't have a long way to travel, so they're not going to pick up that energy. They're not going to have the force, as opposed to traveling all across the Pacific Basin. And essentially, as far as tsunamis go, when you have a subduction zone, meaning you get those plates, one going underneath the other or slipping, which is this kind of a combination of both, then that sends the energy out over the waters. If you were on the ocean waters, you really wouldn't feel anything, even though those waves were traveling in excess of 800 kilometers per hour, in some cases 400 or 500 miles per hour. But as the water gets shallower and moves closer to shore, then all of that energy is just going to build up and release. Well, for Hawaii, they were expecting about 1 meter to 2+ meters or so a tsunami. So we're looking at 3 to 7 feet is what we had anticipated originally. This, the kind of cause and effect from a 7.7 earthquake right around the central British Columbia coast, and that is a logging area, is forestry. It's not very well populated at all. It's very sparsely populated, but you can guarantee there would be people right there who definitely would have felt that, but because it's so sparsely populated, we're not hearing a lot of people call in and say that they felt it. There have been aftershocks, just about a dozen or so since this initially occurred. Most of those aftershocks, Natalie, have been along the 4 and 5 magnitude, so nothing like the 7.7 magnitude. Back in 1947, they had an 8.1 almost exactly in the same area. This particular one, the 7.7 one that just occurred, was reasonably shallow, I would say moderately shallow, just about 17 kilometers deep. The initial report, Natalie, was that it was about 10 kilometers deep. So that's fairly shallow, but it triggered the warning systems to go off, and that's why the people in Hawaii said we're going to issue a warning, a tsunami warning.
And that's what we're waiting to see right now, as to see if this does indeed generate the waves that they had predicted. We're going to listen in. Thank you, Karen, just for a moment with one of our affiliates to hear their coverage. Hawaii News Now. Let's listen.
They're typically watching. So right now, that third wave coming in, we expect to get a little more information. Typically, it's after about the third or fourth wave, they start to update civil defense and whatnot as to whether or not they can downgrade the threat. So we'll see. We might have some more information in another 20 minutes or so as to when they may possibly downgrade their warning here. But that third wave coming in, I'll send it back to you guys.
All right. Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for being down there and passing that information along to us. So far, so good then with that 1.5 foot.
So now we've seen a second wave, and we'll be waiting for those third and fourth waves, but that is good news. Those 20-minute cycles, of course, a waiting game here, but so far it seems like we're seeing consistent levels, also those wave levels that you read earlier, throughout the island.
Let's just hope that it stays the highest wave, highest recording from the first wave, about 1.5 feet. Highest recording from the second wave, about 1.5 feet. Again, normally the third, fourth wave is the largest, and let's hopefully that's on the lower end, maybe like 3 feet, and that would keep things pretty good.
You know, Ryan talked about, Ryan from the Big Island reminded us that big 6-foot wave that hit in the Kona area was hours later.
Quite late, yes.
So what do we see? The Big Island was one of the key spots that we're looking at as well. What are we seeing with the wave heights coming out of the Big Island?
So far, the Big Island wave heights have actually been on the lower end compared to the other locations. It seems like Oahu has been picking up the largest wave heights. Places like Makapu'u, Haleiwa, as well as Kahului Harbor on Maui.
Well, we want to head over to Cam Tran now. She's at EMS with an update. Cam.
Well, hey there, guys. We are with John Cummings with the Department of Emergency Management. He's here to explain the process of the all clear. I know it's really early on, but just to let people at home know what is the process.
Well, right now, of course, we're waiting to see what's going to happen. We're not out of this yet. We're still in the warning. We're still anticipating a destructive tsunami event. At a certain point, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center is going to look at their data, and this would be if we get a wave or if we don't get a wave. And they'll be able to tell us that, hey, yeah, it looks like the destructive energy has passed the islands. Now, this could be pretty far off. But once they give us that information, what will happen is our mayor, and Peter Carlisle at that time, will instruct our first responders to go down to the shoreline and to give us an eyeball of what's happening, because we need to ground truth the information from the warning center. So what that all means is basically they're going to feed the information back here, and the official word for an all clear will come from our mayor, as it would come from all other county mayors. Now, we're pretty far away from that right now, but that is the process.
Have you heard anything from the Pacific Tsunami Center yet?
No, they're just sitting and watching as we are right now. We're looking at actual video feeds, as you folks are right now from the shoreline. They're looking at scientific data and sharing information from us. We're on live right now with all of the counties, Hawaii State Civil Defense, and the Tsunami Warning Center. We have an open line so we can immediately know if an island outside of another county has some type of impact, because that's going to all affect everyone.
So would the counties make the decision all at the same time then?
Well, no, it depends, because as you notice, each county went into the evacuation phase a little bit differently, because it depends where the energy is coming from. So Kauai was first, ours was next, and so on down the line, right? The same thing. Each county will declare they're all clear at a separate time, again, based on analysis of their mayor for what's happening within their county.
And is that what's happening right now behind these closed doors?
Well, right now we're just again, we're way away from any type of all clear. We're just waiting to see what's going to happen. We're in forward mode. We're leaning forward in our foxholes to say, and we're waiting to see if something does happen. Then we'll have to go at some point into rescue and recovery and emergency response mode.
All right.
Let's go to the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center.
What's going to
I think we've got Laura there. Laura Yamada live there
New
with an
wave
update.
heights. Yeah.
So we're talking to one of the geoscientists who's keeping an eye on some of the information from those tidal gauges, and he's giving us some information based on the third wave that's coming in. And basically they're saying that, I'm going to walk a little closer to you now, basically they're saying that it's generally lower in most areas than they expected initially. The highest so far, Kahului, Maui, coming in at about 1.9 feet. Hilo, quite a bit lower, around a half a foot.